right, welcome back. We're so glad you're here for Module 4 of the Community Addiction Recovery Education Training. This module, we're going to look at defining recovery and helping you understand and outlining what does recovery actually even mean? Because there are a lot of different variations and ideas of what recovery means. So let's clarify those for you and put some perspective around it. We're going to discuss today SAMHSA, Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration. And this is the federal organization that is responsible for most of the research around substance use and mental health and behavioral issues in this country. The abbreviation for the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration is referred to as SAMHSA. And what SAMHSA has done is determined that there are 10 guiding principles of recovery. Much like a wellness wheel with 8 dimensions or 7 dimensions, there is a wellness wheel for recovery as well. And so the 10 guiding principles of recovery include recovery is person-driven. There are many pathways of recovery. Recovery is holistic, mind, body, spirit. It is not just about substance use. Recovery can include peer support. Recovery is relational. Recovery is about culture. Recovery can address trauma. Recovery identifies strengths and responsibility. Recovery involves and includes respect. And most of all, recovery hinges on hope. This is the website link that you can peruse if you would like to have a flyer, a brochure from SAMHSA that you can use in your workplace or with your loved ones that defines each one of these areas for the 10 guiding principles. So who defines what recovery is? Well, we're going to learn about that right now. SAMHSA has defined recovery as a process of change through which individuals improve their health and wellness, live a self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. And if we look back here on the wellness wheel, on the guiding principles, it's person-driven and respect and strength and responsibilities. Most of all, it's person-driven. A process of change through which any individual improves their health and wellness, whatever that looks like to them. So oftentimes in recovery, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say our society has painted a picture of what recovery should look like and what life should look like for every individual. And we know, and we have to embrace that life doesn't work that way. And what I determined for myself as improved health and wellness probably is going to look a lot different than what you define as appropriate health and wellness. And it's important that you don't impose your ideas of health and wellness onto me or those that you're working with. And embrace the differences, folks. We all come from different cultural backgrounds. And what culture can mean is maybe it's ethnicity, race, gender, but it can also mean what was your environment growing up? Were you raised by one parent, 2 parents, grandparents, foster care? Were you in an environment of domestic violence? Or there was chronic substance use? Maybe there was sexual assault and trauma. Maybe there's some historical trauma. So there's all different layers of how health and wellness is defined by the individual based on their lives, their story. And we want to be able to respect that just as much as we would want people to respect that of us. We have to embrace that and welcome that in to those that we care about and those that we work with. It's up to the individual, live a self-directed life. Everyone in this country has the right to determine how their life unfolds. we need to honor that life. And it's important to understand that people don't grow at the same rate. People don't change at the same rate. And some things might come easier for one person versus another person. And so to impose a cookie cutter model of recovery and time frame in when a person should achieve recovery is doing a disservice to every individual that we work with. And to strive their full potential, to reach their full potential. Folks, my full potential is not the same as your full potential, nor is it the same as anybody else that you're sitting next to. It's important that we don't impose our own judgments and limitations on people and expectations, and that we honor their journey and where they want to go with it. That's recovery. It's important to recognize also that this definition from the Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration does not include the word abstinence. What it includes is improved health and wellness. In 2005, the definition from SAMHSA did include abstinence. Recovery from alcohol and drug problems is a process of change through which an individual achieves abstinence and improved health and quality of life. So you can see the differences are quite significant between the 2008 definition and the 2005 definition. And I believe this other definition was either developed in 2008 or 2012. And it's important to recognize this is such a fantastic timeline of how the research has changed the way that we want to be looking at substance use disorder and recovery. First of all, in 2005, it says recovery from alcohol and drug problems. In the most recent definition, there's no mention of substance use, right? It's a process of change through health and wellness is improved. So they've taken out alcohol and drug problems, and recovery can mean many things. And it's important to recognize that this definition of recovery is applicable to those with mental health issues and conditions, as well as those with substance use disorders. This is a behavioral health, and it can also include recovery from things like gambling, recovery from conditions such as eating disorders, okay? This definition is all inclusive. And that's really what we want to be thinking about instead of putting people in silos. Recovery from any chronic condition is about a process of change through which individuals improve their personal health and wellness. They decide which way it's going to go, which pathway, which techniques they're going to use, which medications they're going to use, and reach their goals, their lifestyle change, not ours. A person experiencing ongoing symptoms of a mental health problem or illness and or substance use can still live a satisfying, hopeful, and contributing life. The pursuit of that journey is at the heart of recovery, a concept whose principles include hope, dignity, self-determination, and responsibility. We don't want to discount that the person and the individual ultimately at the end of the day, for the most part, has control and must take responsibility of their lives to whatever capacity they are capable of doing so. This is the UK Drug Policy Commission comprised this concept of recovery from substance use disorder, characterized by voluntary, sustained control over substance use, which maximizes health and well-being and participation in the rights, roles, and responsibilities of society. There's a lot of strong concepts in this definition. They include the word substance use. What they don't include is the word abstinence. In the United States definition, there's no mention of the word drugs or alcohol. There's no mention of the word abstinence. And in the UK policy, there's no mention of the term abstinence. What it's really about, folks, in recovery is reducing the negative consequences associated with drug use. That's really what we're aiming for, whether that's health, criminal justice, family neglect, whatever it is, that the negative consequences associated with an individual's drug use, that's where we're focused towards. That's where we want to move towards when we think about recovery. William White, who is a historian and a well-known researcher for recovery, says recovery is an enduring lifestyle marked by the resolution of alcohol and other drug problems, doesn't say abstinence, the progressive achievement of global physical, emotional, and relational health, and citizenship, life meaning, purpose, self-development, social stability, contribution, and elimination of the threats to public safety. Reduce the negative consequences associated with drug use. Defining recovery remains a contested work in progress in which, for individuals who may be included or excluded from its ambit, the personal stakes are high. And what William White is saying in this quote is that when we try to define recovery for somebody, the stakes are high. Lives are at stake when we try to dictate what recovery should be and look like for individuals other than ourselves. So defining recovery. A person is in recovery when they say that they are in recovery. Folks, a lot of people aren't even using the term recovery anymore because they feel that that term casts a dark shadow on them. And for some people, they're saying that they don't have a sobriety date, they have a wellness date. Or they might say that I'm not in recovery, I'm choosing a healthier lifestyle. Or some might say I'm living an abstinent lifestyle. It all depends on the individual. But the most important piece about this is that we understand. Oops, I went backwards. It's about improved health and well-being, whatever that means to me, and to reduce the negative consequences associated with drug use. If we have an individual that started using actively at the age of 12, compared to an individual who started using at the age of 35, and we have the same expectations for time frame around improved health and well-being, that is causing harm, that is doing a disservice, and that will very likely lead an individual not to move forward with drug use goals and improved health and well-being. It's an individual journey, and for everybody, the steps are going to look different, and the steps will change throughout the journey. They will change shapes and colors until an individual finds out what works for them, and until they can address all of the underlying causes of the substance use disorder and the symptoms. Then they will continue to strive and try to improve and try to assess and refine. Just like we talked about in the Return to Use Prevention Plan, there will be times where an individual has to take a step back and reassess and refine the map to keep moving forward. It's important to think about it is not a finish line. It is not a start and a finish line. It is a journey. So what does recovery look like? We're going to look at the stages of change and the stages of recovery, keeping in mind throughout these next modules that there isn't a start and finish line, and that the reality is it's often chaotic. And how can you best support that chaotic journey for the individual to achieve and ensure successful outcomes? Hey there, this is Ginger. I hope you're learning a lot from this series. I'm asking for your help in supporting my tireless efforts. There's a few ways in which you can support me. Tell your friends about this video series, subscribe and like each video here on YouTube down below, make a donation on my website, or invite me to deliver this training in person. Together, we can all be part of the solution. Hope to see you soon, and thank you.